Hello, everyone, and welcome to the E2 podcast. My guest today is Mr. Sam McCabe. Sam, how you doing?
Hey, Leroy, man. I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good, man. And then Sam is the director of the Loyola University's Center of Entrepreneurship and Community Development. It's probably one of the first or second spots that I stopped at when I first got here. Had a chance to meet Dr. Xavier Cole, man. Awesome individual. Back when Barrow was working with you during that time.
Yeah, for sure.
Super cool, open arms. And then I also had a chance to do some office hours with Dr. Bobby Savoy, who I know he's y'all leadership, but I mean, he's a great person to kind of tap into from everybody. I really think so.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, no, we've been really blessed to have such a great team that's so dedicated to really, our community and just being able to grow New Orleans as a hub for entrepreneurship, So
tell us a little bit about you, man. Where are you from? How'd you get here? Share us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I actually moved here to New Orleans in 2010 to go to Loyola. My twin brother and I moved down here. We were really excited about Loyola's music industry program. I didn't end up even doing that program. I ended up with a psychology major when I was doing my undergrad. But I've been here for about 15 years, right? Did my undergrad at Loyola and then spent a lot of time while I was in undergrad and then for several years after as a touring musician, right? Working in the music industry, trying to make it as a songwriter and in a band and all of those pieces.
Living a dream.
Living the dream, right? To various extents. And it was we had a blast. We really thought we were doing pretty well, and we did have some successes. We also had some not so successes, as one does. But that led me to ended up getting a degree in education from LSU. While we were touring, I would be in the back of the van on my laptop writing papers and reading different things about higher education and specifically like student and community facing programming.
Mm-hmm.
And when I graduated with that degree, I ended up initially working kind of as a volunteer at Junior Achievement here in town. Mm-hmm. And then they were hiring for this role for their entrepreneurship, the director for their entrepreneurship program, the Trust Your Crazy Ideas Challenge. So ended up working there for about 3 years, running that program, which, we talked about a little bit before the show, which is this amazing program for high school entrepreneurs here in town. And it got my feet wet in the ecosystem here and got really excited about everything that was going on here, right? Mm-hmm. Combination of my music background and then my education at Loyola and LSU, and then that work there really just got me so stoked on what's going on here in New Orleans for entrepreneurs and for people who want to get started. So about 4 years ago now, I found this role at Loyola and wasn't really even looking for a job. Applied for it because I was like, oh, that'd be cool to go work at Loyola again. Mm-hmm. And now I'm here. So now I've been at Loyola since the summer of 21, and have been helped build out basically all this new programming that we do now, and some of these other new things that we're working on this year. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's where I came from.
We're gonna do a quick shout out to Jordan, man, over with Junior Achievement. I had a chance to work with the Trust Your Crazy Idea challenge and be a judge, and I was blown away.
Yeah.
How good those ideas were. Like, they're well thought out, just really neat, really solid projects.
They're doing a great program over there, and I was always glad to be a part of it. And Larry and Jordan are great people, and they're really making an impact on a lot of really amazing students all over the state. So, absolutely shout out to them. Great folks. So
I know I think you some questions, but I already have a twist in our interview, right?
No, man. What you got?
I'm doing a lot of work with, just a lot of work with artists, like getting a chance to get our storytellers and our musicians and stuff kind of to the table, and also spending time with our entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Tell me how music influences, you as an entrepreneur, or when you put projects together. How does that music influence impact you as an entrepreneur?
Well, I love that you're asking me that question, because I'm literally doing this interview from the booth at our drummer and producer's music studio, because I have band practice following this. So, I taught myself how to run a business and how to be an entrepreneur by being in bands, right? If you want to be able to succeed with that, you've really got to operate it as, like, what's next? How can we innovate with what we have? How can, with the bands that I was in throughout college and afterwards, we were just doing the 3-piece indie rock thing, but how could we would get together every week for rehearsal, and then we'd have a band meeting once or twice a week too. And it was always like, okay, cool. What are we doing right now? How can we still innovate there in this industry that has been around for so long and has so many creative facets to it, right? Mm-hmm. So, what we were doing was we were like 12 years ago trying to make like weekly and sometimes more than weekly, like video content that was going out. We were trying to put a new single out every 6 to 8 weeks, right? To really keep things constant. And, that's at that point, it was like a lot, it was like, oh, it's too much, it's whatever. But like, you look at artists now and all they are content creators, and that's not a bad thing. Right. Mm-hmm. But, you see these artists who, like, to be able to survive, they've got to do all these things. And we laugh because they're like, oh man, we were doing that 10 years ago. And if we just had TikTok back then, maybe things would have worked out a little bit more. But, I think it's one of the things that makes New Orleans such a great place for entrepreneurs too, right? Is you've got this creative music scene with, what this place is known for. And you see these people who are so creative with their art, and that there's that scene too with ideas and with innovation and with entrepreneurship, right? So I hope that kind of answers that question, right? We're kind of leaning into that. Yeah.
I think what I picked from them, you can tell me if I'm wrong, like you're through the process of constant innovation, you probably did a lot of customer discovery, right? Trying to figure out who likes your stuff, who doesn't like, what does your clientele like, what don't they like?
That's right.
And then making your story more readily available, being able to tell the story of not only the music and the band. Yeah. I think, with entrepreneurs, I think telling your story is super important so people can connect with you and your product. Yeah. So I picked up some nuggets from that.
No, I mean, and you're exactly right. That being able to tell your story and being able to share that idea and share what it is that you're working on is huge, right? When I teach, so I teach a class to first year students at Loyola. It's called Set the World on Fire. It's based off of the Ignatian values that are very much in line with entrepreneurship, right? And making a difference in the world, kind of social impact design thinking class, right? And the biggest thing we talk about is you're not necessarily solving a problem right now. You need to find that problem first that these people are experiencing, right? And so if you can find that problem and then do all that customer discovery and really learn and use empathy and understand who those people are that you're trying to serve and help and support, you're going to not only create a better product, you're going to have a better company and a better culture, and you're going to help make a better environment that you're a part of, right? So with music, you can think about it that way too, where it's like, oh, if I'm making a product that's connecting with people, and if I'm writing songs that are connecting with people, then that's the goal, right? Yeah. And so entrepreneurs, it's the same thing. Am I creating something new that is connecting with people, that is solving, or that is meeting a need, and is something that people are gonna, I don't know. It's not even necessarily. I mean, it is about the money at a certain point, but it's also like with the way that we work on it at Loyola, especially, is how are we meeting a need? How can we make that positive change, right? So,
So let's do this, man. Let's get a little bit into. So I do want to talk a little bit about your role at Loyola when you were doing it. Tell me a little bit about how that role has bridged you over to NOEW, because I know you guys are doing a lot with the Wolf Pack pitch competition. Yeah. We talked, it's a little bit out of context, but I want to talk a little bit about like how you kind of build your way up to this NOEW space. Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of just been, building it up is really just the way to describe it, right? 4 years ago, about 4 years ago, when I took over as, at that point, the assistant director, we were really kind of starting from scratch with a lot of the programming we had. COVID had kind of shut down the center because basically all the like extracurriculars on campus had not necessarily shut down, but it was, it was a learning curve for all of us, right? And it gave us this opportunity to say, okay, cool, here's what had been done for the last, for several years, because the center started in, I want to say like 2013, right? It's 2012 or 2013. I don't really know off the top of my head, but it gave us this opportunity to see, okay, here's what some of these other faculty and staff had been doing with this. Here's some funding that we have specifically for these types of programs. Here's what some other schools are doing. How can we, not be what's already there, and how can we support the students that are on our campus, right? I'm, like I said, I'm an alum, and I know I'm an alum from Loyola, and one of the things I do feel like I know pretty well is the type of student we have there. And we don't have like an engineering school, we don't have, we do have like life sciences and all that, but the biggest population of our students are art students and music students and students who are very socially minded, right? So trying to take that angle of making that impact and being that kind of starting point for the ideas that they have, and whether that's that they're just trying to start a band or start a new
production agency or actually go build this new product or service or whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
How can we support them and get them the resources that they need, right? So yeah, my predecessor Bara Watts and I, we spent a couple of years building out. We started with just some speaker series, right? Of like, here's kind of this idea, and we had these ideas for for Wolf Pack LaunchU, our pitch competition, that we spent about a year kind of cultivating and putting together of like, how is this going to work so that it's not just another incubator in town. It's not something that is just going to be duplicating some other people's efforts, because there's a lot of really great resources in this town. There's an
Yeah.
amazing bunch of amazing organizations. So it took us some time, and we're now, like right now, we're actively recruiting for the fourth cohort. Is that right? Fourth
Yeah.
cohort of Wolf Pack LaunchU, which we'll do this summer, and that's our 30K plus pitch competition and incubator that we do with the Loyola community. We've got our other program, IDEAcorps, which I can get into a little bit, but it was kind of the initial, what started NOE many years ago. It was this opportunity to bring all these MBAs and all these students to New Orleans to work with local startups and help them build and scale.
Yeah.
And so we do that program as well now, which is, this year we've got 11 teams from all over the country that are currently right now working with 11 different startups and small businesses from the New Orleans area.
Mhm.
And they're going to pitch with like $35,000 on the line during NOE in a couple of weeks, right? And yeah, I mean, I don't know, we've built this programming. Our team has been just a pleasure to work with at every turn, and all of these people that we work with in town, all these other resources that are here. It's been a really collaborative effort, right?
And I really want to take the time to give Loyola some shine, because we definitely appreciate the open door when we came over to hang out. Enjoy looking at, I think we got a chance to experience, I think, the Martell group, the one that has the mix, the Sazerac mix.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Marcel's. Yeah. That's Ken and his wife Joy with Marcel's New Orleans. They had that. It's an old fashioned mix. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great. I mean, I have a bottle of it in my fridge right now. Like it's great stuff. It's great. And like that is those are the types of businesses that I think have really been kind of the bread and butter of who we've been able to work with the last few years, right? Yeah. There are startups, right? And we this past year too, about half of the companies in probably a little less than half of the companies in LaunchU were kind of those techie based startups. But really, three of the four companies that we funded last year were just consumer goods, right? We had this great new board game, and we had our friend Sean Mulligan from over at Idea Village. He had this amazing honey idea for these little honey drops, because he's a musician too, and he would lose his voice on tour, and he came up with this new solution for that, right? Yeah, it's great. So we really love being able to work with just such really I don't know, just this really great diverse group of people that were over at Loyola.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then quick shout out to Idea Village, because we've done a lot of work with Liz and Sean, Megan.
Yeah.
I kind of watched last year. I just kind of watched, Liz put all this together. Definitely want to shout her out, all the work they've done over the years to get NOE to where it is, man. So for those who aren't familiar, tell us why NOE is important. I think we spent a little time talking about the different little individual companies that you're working with at Loyola. There's all these different companies that are coming like out of Idea Village, out of Propeller, all these individuals, and then even our founders who are coming out of the NETI, the New Energy and Technology Incubator.
Yeah.
And NOE, everything kind of comes together. And let's talk about why that's important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, so yeah, we got involved with NOE this year, and I'm really excited about it. It's something that has kind of come together, over the last year. Really, we kind of started having these conversations right after last year's NOE, and New Orleans Entrepreneur Week, for those who don't realize what we're saying there, it is it's a front door for the ecosystem, right? It's a place for current founders or people who want to be founders or people who are remotely interested in entrepreneurship or people who just want to see what's going on here in town and learn more about the amazing startups and small businesses that are happening here and the opportunities for them as well, to really flourish, right? And to really connect and network and grow, right? You know, this year we've really spent a lot of time on building out programming that is, you know, not only focusing on, hey, what can we do? What's the future of New Orleans and entrepreneurship here? But like, what's happening right now, and how can you get involved right now, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, this year we've got like we made a point this year to bring in what we're calling kind of workshops and 101s where, you know, just based off of some feedback we had about programming, like, hey, we want to be able to go sit in a session and learn how to build our team the right way, right? How to get social media marketing right? Because that's so hard and so important for so many small businesses and startups, right? You know, a bunch of different pieces like that. And it's giving us this you know, really great platform to really share a lot of these things with these potential founders and people who are already founders, right?
Yeah.
And then on top of that too, we've got a lot of that programming that you know and love about NOEW, right? We've got some really great, a couple of really great keynotes that we're bringing in. We've got just some really amazing panels about, you know, our afternoon on one of the stages on Friday is built around like the future of tourism, the future of the music business here, the future of festivals, and, you know, things that really just the things that make New Orleans right now, right? I mean, coming out of Mardi Gras, like, cool, what is happening, right? You know, what did we just do? How can we make that successful in the future, right? So, you know, yeah, it's a really it's a place for all of these different levels of this ecosystem to meet up and share the ideas that they have and help the ecosystem and the community grow, right?
So tell me, who is NOEW for? Like, we got different. We talked a little about the tech folks. We talked a little bit about mom and pops. We talked a little bit about startups. So who is NOEW most appropriate for?
I mean, I don't think there's one answer to that, right? It's we've really tried to build some programming that's going to appeal to almost anybody that's remotely interested in the ecosystem, right? You know, Thursday's programming is really built at least, you know, at the 2-day summit at Loyola Thursday and Friday. Thursday is really built around this idea of like the tactical and practical, like, how do you get started? What can we do? Like, what's going on right now? What can we do with AI? What can we do with, you know, these next things that are coming in? And then Friday is really built around kind of like, you know, what's happening now and what's the future, right? With these different industries. So, you know, Thursday, we're actually really pushing for students, right? We think that there's a really a bunch of interesting programming that we put together that is going to really appeal to this younger audience that is interested in entrepreneurship, but maybe isn't sure what that first step is or like how to get moving. So, you know, but that said, it's not only for students, right? We just have them in mind because we're on a college campus, right? So, and then, yeah, I mean, it really is like, I do think that there's something for everybody, whether you're an investor, a founder, a wannabe founder, you know, a coder, whatever it is that you're getting involved with, you know, if you're a small business owner, if you're a chef or restaurateur or a musician, there's an interesting way for you to get involved and be a part of this from just about any angle, I think. So.
I think that's definitely important, man. Like we started out with talking about the musicians, the chefs, and all those folks. Like, regardless of where you are, if you're interested in opening a business, I think it's a great place to network. I think also, you know, it's a great place to learn about some new different things, some things coming out in the pipeline. It's always cool. I think even at an ecosystem meetup, I think one of the things that we learn is that people are interested in people inside of our ecosystem are interested in what each other is doing, and we want to help each other. And I think that's probably the biggest, most important part of this whole process, being able to share those resources and information as often as we can. Right, back to community is our superpower.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I really do think that's something that always impresses me about New Orleans is, I do go to different places, and we, like I'm not from here, right? I've been here for what feels like most of my life at this point, but
You're local. You're just not native, but you're local.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
There's such a community here and a desire to be a community here, right? There's so many people that they want to be a part of what's here and what's and then share that, right? Like
yes.
I was out of town for Mardi Gras this week, and you got people all over the country that are like, they can tell you're from New Orleans. I mean, I was wearing a purple, green, and gold hockey jersey, so it was kind of not surprising that I was from New Orleans at that point. But it was also, there's you can tell, and that these people are from here, and that they want to be able to share that and be able to share what's going on here and outside of here, and really, really showcase what New Orleans is. And we think our goal really is to be that front door and to really showcase exactly what you can do here, whether that's start an ice cream shop or some new AI technology, right? How can you take that idea that you've had and really, really run with it, right? And this, New Orleans is a great place to do that. So
staying on community, we have another aspect of NOE that where it kind of spills out into the community, and NOE is kind of all over the place. And we call that all over the New Orleans community. I'm not sure if in Jefferson Parish yet, but she might be.
I think we are, actually.
You are?
I think there's one or two. We've got 45 NOE in your neighborhood events this year, man. So it's more than. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, we've got those 2 days at Loyola's campus, which is a really great place to connect and really build that community. But across the entire week, I mean, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, there are events all over town. So there's, I know you guys are putting on an amazing event out in the East that we've had a lot of exciting hype for, right? There's our friends at Comfy Stone are putting on a couple of events in Jefferson Parish at their studio that they have out there in Metairie, right? Yeah. There's events happening at the New Society. There's events happening at Tulane. There's events happening downtown at Bayou Innovation Center and at the shop and at everywhere else, right? So if you can't make it to something uptown, there's something for you to get involved with downtown. There's something for you to get involved with in the Garden District. There's something out in the East. There's something. I want to say there's even something on the North Shore, man. Like there's. I think Chenzo is doing something on the North Shore. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Chenzo always doing
it. Shout out to Chenzo Corona up there, man. That guy's always killing it. But
shout out to Thriving, man. Shout out to Thriving.
That's right. But so yeah, like I said, we've got this 2-day summit at Loyola, but we've also got these events that are happening all over town that maybe some of them don't appeal to you. Maybe some of them, but it allows for our community to really focus in on maybe one specific aspect that they're really passionate about, and then really grow that, right? Yeah. We've also we've got an amazing group of what we're calling lead partners this year, which is Tulane and Xavier and New Society and UNO The Beach and GNO Inc. And man, I'm probably forgetting one of them, and I can't remember who it is right now. But it's we've got these amazing group of university partners and lead partners that are really putting on some of this lead programming that is making this week something that there's something for everybody. And there's a way to get involved, whether you just want to show up and hear somebody talk or be a bigger piece of that, So
definitely. Now, show up, listen to somebody talk, man. Ask for a business card. Bring some business cards.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Bring some business cards so you guys connect. But now, how do you think with all this work and with spread across 45 spots that week, it will be an entrepreneurial explosion? How does that contribute to making us a stronger entrepreneurial hub, man?
I mean, just the sheer quantity of it is astounding to me, right? The, Speaking with Liz and with the Idea Village team, who we've been working in tandem with this year, and just real quick shout out to them. They have been nothing but stellar partners. They are just absolutely amazing to work with, and have really, it's been great building that relationship even further. But there's those neighborhood events are really just what help kind of connect a lot of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's this way that it allows certain groups to expand on maybe a topic that we maybe just touch on at the summit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's just so much to cover. But then also really like help bring some of these more focused communities together, right? Mm-hmm. So NOEW is great because it allows there is something for everybody, but there are those pockets that it allows you to really connect with those like-minded people and share what's going on with your idea, or with really connect some of those people that have some of those in those same buckets, right? It's in the neighborhood events too. It also allows for us to have, while those allow for us to be a little more specific with some of those, right? It also it gives us that wider net, right? It helps people who are maybe just like on the edge of wanting to start something, or didn't even think that like starting a small business is entrepreneurial. They just thought like, oh, I want to open a snowball stand next summer or something like that, right? That's still being an entrepreneur. That's still being that's still solving a problem, right? So it allows for these communities to grow, and for us to then really shine as a region, I think.
Lost some light. I'll be right back.
No.
Cool.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
So based on that, so what industries
Mm-hmm.
what industries do you see participating the most? Do you think we're always looking for the energy corporation? I'm talking about maybe our larger industries. Do we see any of our corporate industries participating? Because we're always looking for customers. We're always looking for customers for those entrepreneurs.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say there's any specific industry that we're like targeting, right? Like, obviously there's a lot, like this year, there's definitely a lot on AI, right? Like we've got 4 major themes this year. It's business of the future, start it here, scale it here, and not so artificial intelligence, right? Okay. And I have a feeling probably at least half of these panels at the summit, especially, are going to touch on AI in some way or another, right? It's just so pervasive in tech and in really everything right now, right? Yeah. So, I mean, shoot, I can't think of a company that I haven't heard of that is trying to squeeze AI into their product, like current product development, right? Yeah. So, it's a good thing. We personally at the center, I think it's a great tool. It's something that if you know how to use it right, and if you know how to, really like build those prompts and really understand it, how to use it, it's a great tool for any industry, right? Mm-hmm. So, I know that AI is going to be a huge piece of a lot of the programming going on, right? And then the rest of it really is when we were building out those 4 themes this year, we made a point to stay away from having them be industry specific, right? Because we know that there is amazing stuff going on all over the city and we didn't want to pigeonhole ourselves into just one specific setting, right? Mm-hmm. So that is something that's a little different this year than in years past, right? Is last year I think those themes were like innovation and culture and climate tech and health tech and all those things. Mm-hmm. And while we're still absolutely going to be touching on all that in different ways, I think that what not kind of holding ourselves into something like that has allowed us to do is really kind of mesh a lot of this content together so that it's really going to be really engaging, right? Yeah. And it's going to appeal to a lot more people that are just trying to get started, as well as people who are already there, right? Mm-hmm. So,
do you have any numbers on like how many NOEW you had in the neighborhoods you had last year versus how many you had this year?
It's like almost double.
Yeah,
Last year it was like 25, and this
yeah,
year it's like 45. So,
got you.
um, yeah, which is really that's really exciting to me too. It's like, oh wow, like I mean, I don't know if we did anything different to market it, to be honest
Yeah.
with you, because I this is the first year that I've been involved, but it's been something that like there's just been such an outpouring and such an excitement for people from all over town and all over the region, really,
Mhm.
to be able to host their own event and really showcase what they're doing and have it be a part of this greater thing, right?
And
Yeah.
I always, even though I'm probably more mature, we're gonna talk about age, probably more mature than most of the cast that are already in the space, but I still call them the OGs, right? Because
Sure.
these are the ones that set out and laid this foundation, and now going from 25 to 45. And what I really love about this, because I didn't know that number, I like the fact that the community, that New Orleans, the community in New Orleans, is adopting NOE as its own.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You know, like something where if I got a beauty salon, there's something I can do for um,
Yeah.
people in my neighborhood or people around that area. Other beauticians can come together and talk about different things like that. And at
That's
some
great.
point, hopefully, we'll be at a point where we can capture questions from those events and then follow up with answers that come out from the questions that those folks have. That's the evolution, though. I'm not trying to give y'all more stuff to do for this one. Y'all have done a whole lot, got a whole lot going on right now.
Yeah, I mean it's wild. I when we put out the call for like for the No Indian Neighborhood events for all that, um, I was amazed at how quickly and how many of those came in, right?
Yeah.
And it's been something that is I don't know. I love to see that dedication from people all over town who want to be a part of something and want to really showcase what it is that they're doing and really bring people together and be excited about it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
that's exciting. Tell me about what
yeah.
do you think about the future of entrepreneurship in New Orleans, man? What are some of the biggest opportunities that you think you see with startups and small businesses in the state?
Man, I think there's I don't want to like pigeonhole something, right? Because
I know.
this city has been so uh, oh, I hate the word resilient, but I like almost just I think I have to use it there, right? There's just so many, so many opportunities here, right?
Mhm.
I think that I know y'all do a lot with climate, and I think that is a huge place that New Orleans, especially, and Louisiana as a state, can really shine
Mhm.
because we're at the forefront of all that. I
Mhm.
mean, we live here, we know about all that.
Yeah.
Um, but then, like, I saw that article on NOLA.com this week about that company that is like trying to work on potholes with AI now,
Yes.
and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, wait, that is a real solution. That's
Yeah.
something that we're really leaning into. Um,
I got a chance to
there's-
meet that guy, man. He's really, I think it's
yeah,
Wisdom, Matthew Wisdom, something like
yeah,
that.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but yeah, it's there's I, I don't know that there's necessarily like I don't want to say that there's one industry or one direction that entrepreneurship is going to go in here because you say that and then you have to backtrack or whatever. But it is there's so many opportunities for solutions to things that are going to directly impact people here, whether that's filling potholes with some AI technology or
Mhm.
that's one of our Loyola alum, Rich Zimmerman, is the dude that's working on Cantaloupe, right?
Mhm.
And that AI is helping to revolutionize hiring in the hospitality
Hospitality.
industry,
I
right?
saw that.
Which,
Yeah.
what is New Orleans without the hospitality industry, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many opportunities to really look at what is great about New Orleans and maybe some of the things that aren't, and really approach that with new technology or with new ideas, new products that are really going to impact our people here first, right?
Yeah.
um I don't know, I think about like going back to the Super Bowl a couple weeks ago, and uh it's it was so interesting to see such a different group of people in town. I mean it was just so, I mean all the tourists, like, it was great. I mean it was really cool having all that in town, but it's so interesting to hear from outsiders, like how great New Orleans is. And we all know New Orleans is great. We also know that there's some things that we would like to improve about this place, right?
Oh, yeah.
So how are we going to do that? And that's kind of what we're hoping we can do and hoping we can lean into. And we've got some, like I said, like at the summit and across the whole week with the neighborhood events, there's some really great programming that's focusing on what's new, what's the future, how can we make New Orleans the absolute best place it can be, right?
Yeah, and I think regardless of what business you have right now, please do yourself some justice. If you can get out to the AI and the technology, AI conversations, at least come to see how it can impact your business. It don't matter what type of business you have.
That's right.
Yeah, there's an opportunity for it to help your business. I definitely encourage everyone to come out and try to at least get some information from those AI panels, because I think it's more scary than it is than it probably needs to be. Yeah,
I mean, I don't think it. I think scary is the right word. I think you're right. I was not trying to argue that, but no, it's. I mean, even like, I mean, I don't know. I've got faculty at Loyola that are good friends of mine that, you know, we're trying to figure out how it works in an education setting. And there's great ways to do that. There's some really great tech that is, you know, coming out of New Orleans, and elsewhere as well, that is, you know, really focusing on AI in education. There's AI in the hospitality industry, like we talked about. There's, you know, AI companies trying to revolutionize festivals and the music industry, right? Like, there's positives to all of this, right? It's, you know, if you want to be afraid of it, then that's fine. But you know, there's ways that we can work with all of this to make it make our community a better place, and then help grow that outside of here, right? And you're seeing companies doing that here in New Orleans, and you're seeing startups that are really trying to lean into that, which is awesome. So,
and we just have two things probably going on in Louisiana that I don't remember having this before, is that we got this meta facility coming in North Louisiana.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you have the LAIO that just popped up, right? Louisiana Institute for AI. So they're going to have a center of excellence for AI. So just being able to get some information on AI, or some information on how it can help your business, I think is going to be really, really important. I mean, even at OHub, we're looking at how we want to have this conversation and contribute to the conversation of AI in the future as well. So I think everybody's kind of shifting a little bit, but I think being able to introduce this information, you got to be a trusted resource. You got to be a trusted resource to do it. Yeah, this is not the fear. Because some people think it's going to take their jobs, and then some people, when you think it's going to do something bad to you, you don't even want to try to see if it's going to do anything good for you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's all like, I teach my students to use it as a tool, man. You know, like I literally have assignments in my class that I teach with first year students, that it's like, no, like, please use AI for this, right? Like, you know, come up with, like, it's more about for them, like, coming up with the prompts that's going to help them use it as a tool. But, you know, it's been, there's a lot that we can do with it. And I think, you know, we're trying to showcase a lot of that in some of the content at the summit. I know there's a couple of neighborhood events that are going on that are really kind of focusing on some of that. You know, it's a really cool tool that you can use that, you know, it's.
As long as we remember it's a tool.
That's right. That's right.
As long as we remember it's a tool.
That's right. If any of my students are watching, please don't use it to write your papers. But other than that, you know.
Well, they got tools where you can put that paper in there and they'll tell you 90% AI.
Oh, I know, and I've used them. And I've caught them. But
you don't want to find out the hard way.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
You don't want to find out the hard way.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, I mean that. No, I mean, I just that facility in North Louisiana, like, that's a huge deal, man. I mean, that and combined with all the great stuff that you know, you got Josh over at LAIO and that whole crew. Like, there is just so much opportunity for that in New Orleans and in Louisiana as a whole, and really, I mean, the Gulf South. Like, there's just so much going on here that if we can really showcase it and get it in front of the rest of the world. I think it's that's the goal, right?
Yeah, we got 45. Like you said, we have 45. We have 45 programs from the No in the neighborhood. We got your central location. I think Loyola is the central location.
Yeah.
How do we get this to the rural community, man? I'm simply I know I'm all off script with you now, man. I'm sorry about this. It just popped up though. How do we get this to the rural community?
That's a great question. I mean, I know, like, I've talked a little bit with like some of the folks with the whole LAIO team, and I think kind of the goal with what they're doing there is to really share a lot of this information across the state, right?
Yeah.
We're going to be working with folks in Lafayette and in Shreveport and in Baton Rouge to really help grow statewide. My power just surged. We're really trying to share it, not just in New Orleans, right? Like it's New Orleans Entrepreneur Week, yeah, absolutely. But we also I hope some folks from down on the bayou come uptown for this, right? I hope that there's we've got this opportunity to share all of this information across the city and across the network, and we're seeing this year that wider smattering of those neighborhood events. Like, why can't we have a neighborhood event in Homa? Why can't we have one in Washington Parish, right? Or out in where else? God knows where else, right? That's the goal, is to make the community larger and give everyone an opportunity to be a part of something great here in New Orleans, right?
And definitely, I think around March 15th, our North Louisiana ecosystem, our North Louisiana community partners, the guys up there, Grant Rogers and Maven Works, those guys are having a big I-20 corridor event as well. That's going to be like 14th. So my goal is to try to make it up there. I think that, just like we do here, we show up for each other.
That's right.
Yeah, just being able to go and spend some time with those guys and kind of see what resources they have, and then what resources can we bring to them, or something that we might want to partner on, or projects that we can partner on. Have a really cool time spending some time with them. So I'm excited about how that is going to open up, and how that's going to open up as well.
Yeah, I mean, the more the merrier is usually how I tend to be with this stuff, right? It's how can we bring in as many people from our city and our region to really get excited about this? Because that's the thing. You're exactly right. Like, it's not just in town, right? There are people, way deep in the North Shore. There's people in Mississippi, out on the Gulf Coast. There's people that are, out towards Baton Rouge and out towards Texas and all that want to be involved and want to be, want this to be something for everybody, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I want to say more than a third of registrants for NOE last year were from out of town too, which is kind of cool. Wow. Okay. I don't know that exact number, but I remember that came up in a meeting recently. It was like, oh yeah, this is this number from last year were actually not from New Orleans, or I don't know if that means they might have been from Jefferson Parish, but it may be. But
once you cast the wide net.
That's right. So that's the goal,
So with all your experience, starting out with junior achievement, getting to Loyola, and now from assistant director to director, what's one piece of advice you'd have to give for a first-time entrepreneur?
Oh man, I mean, the big thing, one of the first things that we do in my class that is basically, that class is like an intro to entrepreneurship. Like the biggest thing I talk about is your team, right? I take it from a music side, where that class, when we do it, it's called Who's on the Bus, right? And it's designed around who's on your tour bus, which, just to clarify, I never had a tour bus, not once, not ever, not remotely close to it. But it's just a phrase, right? And it's about cool, who is part of that team? Are your values aligned? Is it somebody that you actually want to be solving this problem with, right? You can have your best friend who agrees with you and thinks that this is a problem that needs to be solved, but if your values aren't fully aligned on where that needs to go or how to do it, it's not going to go well, right? So for me, and it is part of the community thing too. It comes back to that of really having that empathy and really being able to build those core values together, and be able to showcase that with whatever that idea that is you're working on, right? So, I mean, that's kind of my number one thing I always tell my students and people that ask me that question is like, it really, really, really matters who's on your team, and being able uh, to have like that is a gold mine of a resource to have somebody who is fully aligned with you, with your core values, and and wants to help succeed and not hinder anything, right? So that's number one. And then honestly, number two is it's like just like fail early and fail often, man. Like it's never going to go the right way the first time, and if it does, congratulations. Like that's amazing. But it's do not be afraid of falling on your face, right?
Yes.
Like I was riding bikes with my son this afternoon, and he beefed it hard at one point, and he got right back up and got back on his bike and was a block away in seconds again. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, was he a little hurt? Was he a little embarrassed that he ate it? Like, absolutely, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's the same thing with entrepreneurship, with starting a business, with being a musician, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like this band that I'm about to go have rehearsal with, that I've been in with my wife for 7.5 years now, something like that. Like we haven't played a gig in 5 years. This is our first gig in 5 years that's happening, right? Because we had that, my wife especially, who is a songwriter, like had that urge to like not give up on it, right? And really go like, yeah, something didn't work, or we had some hiccups, we had some challenges that made it harder to do. But we still got back on that stage. We're still getting back on that stage to try and do it again, right?
Love that.
So,
The team is aligned.
Yeah, and that too. I mean, that goes back to the music thing too, right? Like that team is, like I wouldn't be able to do some of this stuff. I wouldn't be able to be doing this interview right now without my team. That's my band, because my producer and drummer has this studio that I have a soundproof room to do this in, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's great. That's number one for me, is really really getting that team together. So
A good team. So what's some of the common mistakes you see entrepreneurs make when scaling their business?
When scaling is not expanding that team enough, to be honest with you, right? Like you can't do everything. You just can't. And be honest with you, like that has been a challenge that I have learned this year with like putting on NOEW with our friends at Idea Village, is, that's been something that like I definitely like personally struggle with, is being able to delegate and being able to like share that idea and like build the people around you that matter, right? Like if you try to do it all on your own, like that's you're gonna fall off that bike, man. And it is that's something that like that is so hard to like be able to sit down and say that. And that's something like even personally, like I've really had to work on the last couple of years of like I do not you don't personally have the bandwidth to be the CEO, the CFO, the COO, and also be on the line making the widgets, right? You've got to be able to delegate and be able to build that team and be able to know when to do that, right? So I do think that is, especially with scaling, one of the like hardest things, right? Is really really. And I hate that I basically use the same answer for both of those questions, but like that it's so impactful to have that right team and to then know when to expand or when not to, right? And yeah.
When I first started, it's funny. These are the things I first learned. Like I really found out that VCs look at that team heavy. They want to look at the chemistry of that team, right? They scrappy is one person doing the work. That's picking the right team.
That's right.
Now the second aspect of that team is how diverse is the knowledge base based on what they're trying to do.
That's right.
Right? Because you got 10 people and 5 of them don't know anything about AI. Nobody on your team knows anything about AI. You still got to go to get number 11.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So definitely, I think it's two distinctive points that you made. First of all, putting together the right team, that scrappy team, the team that has chemistry, the ones that's going to be able to burn the midnight oil with you.
Right.
And also, as you get ready to scale, making sure that you're bringing on team members who obviously are like-minded, have the same concept as those other team members do, same approach. However, being able to diversify that talent pool. So
exactly.
When a VC looks at it, he's like, okay, well, everything is already here. Everything is in house.
Right.
We ain't got to spend no money to go get nothing else, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I tell the teams we work with all the time, and you know, even back with when I was working at Junior Achievement with Trust Your Crazy Ideas, like people want to, when they're building this pitch decks, they want to skip over that team slide, and I'm like, man, that is one of the most important things that those investors or judges want to see. They want to see that you've got that wide knowledge base, that people are going to, that you've got, you know. Yeah, if you're an AI company, but you don't have anybody that knows anything about AI on your team, how are you going to build that product, right? If you're trying to, you know, I keep using the ice cream thing because I was thinking about starting an ice cream shop a few years ago and then just didn't have time to do it. But like when we were like building that out, one of the things that was like, okay, wait, I bake a lot and make ice cream at home sometimes, but I don't know how to expand this in a way that is like I can't make, like, I can make a recipe that makes 2 pints at home. I don't know how to make a recipe that can make 2 gallons. You know what I mean? So could I have learned? Yes, absolutely. But is it something that, you know, like it's all about, it's about that knowledge and that knowledge base and having the people around you that know how to do the things that you can't. Because, you know, I know some smart people, but I also know that they don't know everything. Right. So
I don't think any of us.
No.
This process was super humbling for me because, you know, I had to go back and just relearn. I go learn so much stuff, but it's been cool though because it's super. Like it makes you makes me rethink, you know, a lot of things I've done. That customer discovery, like I completely rethought about that. Like, you know, like you can pretty much, if you can exhaust that, you're gonna learn a lot about how good your project is.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Now we do with my students, and then really like with LaunchU, we do. I mean, we spend. That week we do a week-long boot camp that's like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. 5 days straight, and then they spend the whole summer on stuff. And I mean, their whole summer is basically like customer discovery, right? We're like, you got to do a couple hundred interviews over this summer, man. Like you got to. And it's amazing how quickly people pivot when they have to start asking people if their idea is something that they would actually buy, right? But that's part of it, right? It's learning, and it's really growing, and it's really understanding your community and the people that are around you, and what they actually need, and maybe not necessarily exactly what they want, right? Those two things aren't always the same. So, you know, I mean, and that really does, it kind of comes back to like what we're trying to do with NOEW, right? We're trying to build this place where you can learn about how to do that customer discovery, and then also see success stories of people that like, okay, cool, I took this exact information that I learned at NOEW 10 years ago and implemented it in my own company, and now here's the success that I've had, right? So it's it all really does, I think, come back to that community piece of it, and that networking, and that ability and desire to make that impact with, whether that's your customers or your team on your startup or whatever it is, right?
So we're definitely promoting. We send it out in the newsletter.
Yeah.
But the question is, I want to tell the audience, how do we get registered? How do we get registered? Like, where are all the places that we can find a way to register for NOEW?
Oh, that's easy. Just go to NOEW.org, NOEW.org. And there's a very large orange button that'll pop up on the front page. And it's free. It's free to register. It's going to ask you for your name and a couple of little things about you, just, you know, typical demographic stuff. And then it's in. Then you're in. Then you can, you can show up to any of the neighborhood events. Some of the neighborhood events have their own registration links, so definitely check that out beforehand, because there's limited capacity on a few of those things. But no, it's totally free. Just go to noe.org, or follow us on Instagram, or find us on LinkedIn or Facebook, or I guess we're on X. I actually don't know if we're on X. I don't know. I personally stopped using X. That's a different conversation. But it's still Twitter to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's really easy to get involved, right? It's NOEW.org, man. It's you can register there. The schedule is going to be getting released early next week, with the majority of the programming and a lot of the really exciting stuff that we've put together. You can find out about all of the NOE in your neighborhood events on that website. You can find out about a lot of our amazing sponsors that are helping make this event happen. Because, oh yeah, it's totally free, right? So it doesn't cost you anything. You can, and it's going to be a really exciting event for, you know, startup founders, small business owners, investors, students, everybody that wants to get involved. So it's fun.
So what excites you about this ecosystem, man, and the entrepreneurial future of New Orleans the most?
You know, I mean, like on the ecosystem, it's this community, right? Like, you know, I know a lot of folks were at that amazing Super Bowl party, and it's like that was a really great microcosm of just all the fun stuff that is happening here, right?
Yeah.
People want to support each other. People want to show up and show out for all these amazing startups here. And it really is just it I don't know, it makes me I don't know, it just makes me feel so good about this place, right? It's there's this real desire to see each other succeed with what we're trying to work on, right? And whether that's us with Noe or whether that's our startup founders we work with either at the center or like our friends at Idea Village or with y'all at OHub or wherever else it is, right? There's a real desire to see New Orleans and Louisiana and on the same scale really be a beacon for small businesses and startups and just really yeah, I don't know, it's an exciting place to be and a place that wants to help each other, right?
Yeah. I think belongingness, and we have to a certain degree coined the market on belongingness and acceptance.
Yeah.
I think that helps people a lot. I mean, you can come down here, and if you come in an environment, nobody's gonna, be all not want to talk to you. If you come in an environment, everybody's gonna want to talk to you. It's just like if you're on the street and you stop somebody and say, "Hey, what's the best place to eat?" They're gonna give you a list of 5 places to eat.
That's right, man. I mean, that was something I caught on to very quickly when I moved down here. I grew up in Missouri, man, and it was, Missouri's great. Shout out I think my mom might be watching this actually. Yeah, you're right. But no, Missouri's great. It's a great place to be. But when I moved south, it was shocking how friendly everybody was and how everybody wanted to just be a part of it, right? And I think that's our superpower here, man. Is really being able to just get excited for each other and really showcase what it is that we can do here in New Orleans. So. Yeah.
So, we're getting ready to close out, Sam. We appreciate you definitely for coming on, but I want to give people just a little insight on what you're doing this weekend. Tell us about what you got going on this weekend.
What am I doing this weekend? I got a gig on Saturday night, so I don't know if you're not doing anything on Saturday night and you want to come check out the indie band I'm in with my wife and a couple of my amazing friends. We're playing at No Dice on Saturday night, which used to be the Hi-Ho Lounge over on St. Claude. Yeah. So come check it out if you're not doing anything. I'm also probably, what else am I doing? My son's got a couple of soccer games on Saturday morning, so we're going to go check that out too. It's going to be a beautiful week. Actually, wait, I don't know if it's going to be a beautiful weekend. I think it's supposed to rain. I don't know. But it's the best time of year down here, man. It's I don't know. I might go try and find some crawfish somewhere too. That sounds good. So,
I'm probably going to try to figure out if I can get over there on Saturday night, check you guys out, check the band out, man.
I appreciate you.
Super excited about that. To all the people who are working super hard to put Noe on, we absolutely appreciate you, man. We see the growth. We see everything all the time, regardless of where you come in this process. If you were there years ago, or if you're there right now, man, we just appreciate all the groundwork and all the building.
Yeah, you're right.
Do we have a question?
Has the deadline to apply for the Small Business Expo already passed? No. If you want to shoot me an email, we've got a couple of spots left. Actually, it's a great question. We have a couple of slots left for the part of Noe at Loyola's campus is a entrepreneur showcase, right? So we've got a whole. We've got about 20 slots. I think there's a couple slots left still, actually. So shoot me an email. My email is gsmccabe@loyno.edu, LOYNO.edu. So easy to get in touch with. Or just follow us on Instagram. We're at startup.loyno. So
Yep.
easy place to find us. So,
and then also if you need, I saw you, Aja, like if in case it's Leroy at ohub.at too. Either way, we will get you in contact with Sam.
yeah.
We had somebody who responded on, I think, LinkedIn or YouTube last time. It was hard. We didn't have their email, so it's hard for us to catch back up with them. But definitely, Aja, follow up.
Good.
Reach out to us on LinkedIn. You got
I think I saw you send me an email or something recently too. So I don't know if you're watching, still watching. I can definitely shoot me an email or shoot programming@noe.org an email as well, and we can get you connected. So awesome.
Gotcha.
Thank you. I'll follow up in there. Great.
All right,
cool.
Well, guys, thank you so much for showing up for us today, Sam. We absolutely appreciate you. We will see you next time.
Absolutely.
Podcast.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
I loved it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.